Here's another interesting example. So this is a good example because here the white king is already cut off at the on the first rank. So it's good to know those cases as well. And yeah, this is actually a nice maneuver here, rook f6. This can be useful sometimes, especially if the king goes to h5, then stopping moves like g5. So here actually king h1 is the only move. Yeah, king h1 or rook f7 or rook f8, if I remember correctly. So in this here we could also have played, I guess, I imagine we could also play a move like rook c6 and play rook f6 in this position. Then at least the king would be a little bit better placed on g1. Yeah, so rook a4 is actually the only move. Another case where black with the defending side keeps an eye on the opponent's pawns. And if g5, check, simple draw. So he tries f3. And in this case, we can play h4. Yeah, normally we try not to play h4 too early, but in this case, like the f pawn has advanced too far. Also, in those cases where the king is, there's some cases where the king goes to e3, where h4 is a good move. I think we already saw an example of that. And yeah, king h2 or rook g5 draws. He played rook a4. Yeah, this is a nice. That's also why I wanted to show this example because black is using white's pawn as a shelter. I believe the term is called like umbrella. There are some famous cases of that. And because white would prefer to be without the g pawn, but yeah, king h4 was actually a big mistake. He could have played rook d2 or anything, and it should win. King h4, now rook f1. If king g3, then rook g1. Yeah, probably black might have missed this, but this is nothing but a draw, amazingly. And if king f2, we just move the rook, I guess, to a1 or somewhere. And yes, so rook g3, and he holds the draw like this. So here we have the next example. This is Lutz against German Grandmaster Christopher Lutz against Mikhail Gurevitz, two famous grandmasters, and both over 2600 at the time, 2003. And here they play a rabbit game. And yeah, here it would be interesting to you can think about um, yeah, if we look at the black king, we don't want to move it anywhere because we don't want to give white the chance to go to a5. So it's worth thinking about what can we play? Where can we put the black rook? Which moves are possible and which aren't? I mean, I guess we're not talking about rook g6 or rook f5, but besides that, or rook d6 that loses because of c5 check, but other possible rook moves. You can even pause the video if you want and try to figure out which rook moves are good and which aren't. So, Gurewitz, he's black, he's defending. He played, now we're seeing it from the white, so we can also flip the board. And Gurewitz played rook f3, which is actually not a good move. Rook f1 would be good. It's always useful to have the check on h8 possible. Um, think, yeah, rook f2 is probably the same. And rook f4 is also not a bad idea. Just pinning the pawn. And yeah, but if, yeah, so on the f file, you have to go to f1, f2, or f7 is also, f4 also, and f7 also. It's a good idea to, yeah, here we have this nice move, king a7, which is, yeah, usually the idea with when you have the pawn on eights, if you put all the pieces one rank up, like we saw earlier. Yeah, and this is a draw, so it's a nice way. But I guess rook f1 is maybe simplest. Rook f8 simply loses to c5, and we have a check on g7 and so on. And then on the sixth rank, no, yeah, we'll see what happened in the game. He played rook f3, which was not a good move. On the sixth rank, he basically the only move that draws is rook c6. And now we have to keep the rook on the c file. If king a5, we have rook c5 check. So here and then rook h7, for example. So he played rook f3, and this is also good to take note of this, that the rook is often not so well placed on the third rank. Like, you can attack the pawn and it looks nice and everything, but it can be a bit awkward in some cases because, how do I explain it? It's, yeah, when the king goes to a5, we want to we want to be able to check on a1, for example. I mean, that's a better defense. So he played king b4, which actually gave back the draw. But he had rook f3, he had c5 here. And king c6, king b7, and check, at least the same thing. So it's king c6. And now we see the difference. So b4, king d5, and rook takes a6. And this is something we want to avoid when we're on the defending side, allowing the opponent's rook to cut the king off from the rank. That's, yeah, just that lost. So king b4 was a mistake. He could have won with c5. And now he managed to hold the draw. Alright, so this video I guess it's getting a bit longer than I expected. I had a few more examples, but I think it's enough to we look at two more examples. So here we have the game Sri Savita from India, talented young girl from India. And black is strong grandmaster Vitaly Bernatsky from Ukraine. And I liked very much how black handled this position, or how he managed to create some interesting practical problems and or a trap basically for white and win the game. So let's see what happened. Yeah, I think in this case, for example, as white, I would rather check on 8-8 just to kick the king away, and then just go back, for example. We can also make another check and keep checking even, but also just going back to a8. But rook g8 is what you played. Rook g7. And yeah, I guess maybe the inaccuracies start here, so it's black took advantage of. So yeah, again, just check on 8-8, for example. So I don't like this move, rook g8. And it's very interesting how what black did here. So first he takes the eighth rank, so that all the check on the h file yeah, will not be as effective. I guess king f3. Now king h6, kicking the rook away. And now what happens is that yeah, black checks on c3, king g2, and now check on c2. And normally, let's say if the king would be on h5, um, white could simply play king f3, and yeah, that's a simple draw. And she did play king f3 here, but that was a mistake. That was a big mistake. The king g1 was the right move. Well, then it's yeah. I mean, then black at least has achieved something, though it's still a draw. But yeah, king f3, rook h2, f3. This is winning. So can just look quickly at how it finished. Yeah, so I really liked how black tricked white, starting from this rook g7. So it also reminds us when we're defending, we have to be very accurate. And so rook h8, not giving any extra or unnecessary options. So rook g7, and it all started with this rook c8 and king h6. Yeah, so I thought it was quite nice. And then we can have look at one more example. So one example with where the black pawn is on h7, and black can basically play h6 at any moment, but it's interesting that he decided to keep it on h or h7. Yeah, here we have to go passive actually. With king g6 or king g6 is f5, so we have to go passive. And then he just waits. Yeah, move like h6 would probably not be a good idea because of simply king h5. Just to be sure. Yeah, what h6? Yeah, king h5 is just winning. Yeah. Rook b6, b7, rook e6. And here one happened. So we can also look at this. Yeah, so it's yeah, even this is just a yeah, we can stay quite passive here. Even just both king g7. Yeah, we can go rook a6, and in case of f6, rook a8. This is even a draw. So f7, king g7. But this is really amazing. This is one of the, you know, the king g7, g5, and yeah, you can wonder how is this position. It's black to move. What would you play here as black? You can pause the video if you want. So black has to play rook b8 here. This is, yeah, I think most strong players, when they would see this position, they would just, I mean, it looks like it's completely winning for white somehow, but yeah, it's basically nothing. Rook b8 is just a draw. So g7, rook 8. Again, yeah, f6. So black just stays extremely passive, and there's not really anything happening. Yeah. So yeah, we just need to be careful, not to, if it's black to move, play a move like rook b8. We don't want to play yeah, king g8. There's rook d8 check. Don't want to allow that until like if the pawn is yeah, unless and until the pawn has reached f6. Then like now we can exchange rooks because we have 8-6. So that's another theme that's good to know. So he played rook a1, 6, rook a8, rook g6. And again, we can just stay passive, rook b8, simple and good, g5, rook f. Here we also have to be careful because there is a big threat of g6 and king takes g6, which is winning. But just to illustrate that even in this position, yeah, king a8 doesn't make any sense. I mean, we want king is better on g8, but this is still a draw, you know. So even if we play this passively, it's still a draw. It's quite good to know actually. I have rook e6. Now we have to go back. King f8 he played. That was a mistake. Now he's winning white, but he has to yeah g5 and g6. This is winning. So rook b6 happened, and yeah, he should go back. Now rook c8. This is the same thing. He can play g6, which is just winning, but he missed it. King e7, and again he just holds the draw. All right, so I think that concludes our um, our session today. And yeah, I mean, I think it's very can learn a lot from looking at such endgames. Yeah, it's a bit heavy, I know, but yeah, I definitely learned a lot of new things. I hope you too. And yeah, so like, what can we conclude? First, with the pawn on h5, I think yeah, if we definitely have to control the eighth ring in that case, and if we know what we're doing there, if we know the few important moves, I think the draw doesn't need to be that complicated, but probably having the pawn on h5 is not optimal. As I think we should not necessarily be aiming for that. The pawn is on h4. I think it's um, yeah, if we know these nice ideas with king h3 and rook g3 and yeah, then we should hold that without too much trouble. But I mean, it looks a little bit risky and it can be tricky, but yeah, it's still quite okay. So I think yeah, h3 is probably the most natural and human way to continue. And yeah, and I think we saw nice examples by nice defense by Fischer and Nepomniachtchi, where they kind of just try to stall black and make him force him to make these concessions with pushing the f pawn all the way. Or else, if black, if the side that's trying to win has access to um, the f4 square or f5, depends on what color it is, then it can be very tricky. So try to avoid that. Yeah, after the pawn has gone up all the way, then the defense is quite simple, I would say. And then the interesting part was with a pawn all the way back on h7 or h2, which I think yeah looks a little bit scary, but yeah, it's interesting to see that we can just remain completely passive and yeah, white doesn't really have anything, so maybe that who knows, maybe that's not a bad way to defend it all, you know, because yeah, we see a lot of lost games with yeah, where the defending side is losing, and most of those cases is with the pawn on h3 or h6. So yeah, I think keeping the pawn on the initial square is not a bad option either. But yeah, I think in any case, h5, h4, h3, or h2, I think after watching this video, I hope we can defend any of these confidently. So that's all for today. Thank you for watching, and yeah, enjoy your day.